Yes, yes. Welcome to Conversations of the Heart. It is your boy T.T.ill. This is the season finale, uh, season one of Conversations of the Heart. Looking forward to having my boy Mr. Phillip Hammond on to discuss business. So rock with me. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's the day before the election, election eve. I hope everybody has gone out to vote and do all that good stuff. I voted early. Absolutely. So we're just gonna wait for everybody to come in, join us, so we can have this conversation. All right. I see my brother Phillip Hammond in the building.
What's up, T?
Oh yes, yes. How you doing, sir?
What's up, brother?
Oh man, not much, man. Um, First and foremost, appreciate you taking the time out to do this here with me. I know you're a very, very busy man. Doing a lot of different things in life. So, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out to do this here, man, because I think it's so important. And for people who don't know, Mr. Phillip Hammond, he is the founder of PH Consulting and Media LLC. He is a producer and he is a media buyer. And he's doing some amazing things. So the first thing is, so for people who don't know what a media buyer is, what is a media buyer?
Well, first off, I just learned that this is your season one finale.
Yeah, yeah, season one finale. Getting ready for season two. But yeah, this is the season finale. We're about 34 episodes in.
Okay,
So season,
34. Well,
yeah, we're about 34 episodes in, man.
wow. And this came at a time that I think that people needed this. So I congratulate you on the show. I think it's very
Appreciate it, man.
organic, and I think a lot of people learn from it. Um, I try to tune into
Mhm.
episodes whenever you're doing them. I think it's a great idea. So congratulations, and I feel honored to be your last guest on season one finale.
Yes, sir. We're going out
um,
with a bang this season, baby.
Yo, I see that, man. Yeah, media buyer. So I know a lot of people know what like a producer does or a writer, which which
Right.
which is my 50% of my job. The other side is media buying. So
Hmm.
we do everything all together, right? So
Hmm.
in the terms of process, it's a creative dump, which is like when we meet with the client, we talk about what their goal is, and
Hmm.
what medias they want to advertise the creative that we call it, that we're going to put out for them. So in terms of like say a TV commercial, what we would do is we meet with them, they tell us what they're trying to do, then we'll creatively come up with like a concept or a
Hmm.
campaign title, and then I start drafting up like the cast, the crew that's going to be on the project. We
Right.
shoot the creative, and during the time that we're shooting the creative, what we do is we put together a media plan. So, say for instance, in
Hmm.
television, we're going to
Yeah.
pull some demographics, and we're going to find out what demographics fit the networks that we're about to put it on, and then we'll put
Hmm.
together like say 3 or 4 strong networks that we feel or think is going to appeal to them. And then what I do is I go into like the negotiation stage, which is if say for instance they come at us and they say 500 ads we're going to give you for $5,000, right?
Hmm.
Which is $10 an ad, right? Which is pretty good, right?
Right.
But then I say, I really want these guys to knock it out the park from the beginning. can we do 750 ads as part of
Mm-hmm.
that? So ads are like 15-second spots, 30-second spots, 60-second spots. So I'll work them and say, well, if they can commit to 3 months, we'll work with you, Phil, on that or whatever, right? And so that's kind of the role of a media buyer. It is to
Okay.
represent, just like how you have like an attorney or an agent, is to
Mm-hmm.
represent your best interest,
Mm-hmm.
and to try to negotiate the best media spend for your dollars.
Got you. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's super dope, man. So look, so for people who don't know, I've known Phil since I was about 4 years old. So
Yes.
so I think, the to see the transition from boys to young adults to teenagers to men,
Yeah.
real life stages.
I
Um,
know.
you've always been about, yeah, like the entrepreneur game. You've always been that way. Um, I was always 50-50 on it. I was kind of like, I was corporate America for a while, but then I
Yeah.
wanted my own thing, and I was 50-50 on it, and I wanted the best of both worlds when it came to that part.
Yeah.
But you've always been 100% on entrepreneurship, and I've seen the business evolve from when you started. I mean, I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's 18 years old. You started this business, or you
Yeah.
started out in entrepreneurship, and it
Yeah.
evolved. I'm not gonna say the age, but it's evolved now, throughout the years. To where you've reinvented. You're doing different things now,
Yeah.
over and over. You always just reinvent the business to where it's just taken off and it's successful. So congratulations,
Yo, thank
to
you.
you for that. Um,
Thank you, bro.
so take me to the progressions, because some people have a business, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they stick with just that idea. Like, this is just the one thing that they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it works or whether it doesn't like work, it's just, I'm just going to just do this one thing. So where
Right.
I've seen you do things, some of them worked, some of them, some things didn't work, right? Or
Right.
some of them worked for a season, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
right, but then normally for a lot of people, if that one thing doesn't work, they either just close up shop or they just try to force it to make it work.
Yeah.
So how did you actually say, hey, you know what, this was good for a season, or this didn't work, and now how did you reinvent yourself now to where you have a thriving business on a consistent basis?
So like some of my businesses were, my backstory is that my dad, right?
Hmm.
Sorry. My dad is an entrepreneur, like through
Through and
and through,
through.
right?
I
Yeah,
know.
through and through. My grandfather was a businessman too, entrepreneur, engineer in Jamaica, right?
Hmm.
So I thought that I always loved art, and so I thought I was going to be an
Yep.
artist. I was going to work for Disney.
All your
Um,
family's like that. All your family's artistic. So yeah,
that is true.
facts,
That is true.
facts.
They are all like that and very artistic. But I wanted to do something in business, so I did like my dad's field in architecture. So I did go to school for
Hmm.
architecture,
Hmm.
and I took classes at Cooper Union, which was like a really good art school in the city. Um,
Hmm.
and I studied art for a little bit, but ultimately, and I was in the architectural club. I thought I was going to go to City College and become this architect or whatever, like Frank Lloyd Wright. But what I realized is that architecture is just a percent of creativity and art and a lot of engineering and math, right? So I realized that architecture may not be for me, but I did like the thought of being an entrepreneur. I mean, us going to St. Clair's, one of the things that I appreciated was that my dad was an entrepreneur. So like if we were sick, we could go home. Like most people that were sick, they went into the sick office near
Yep.
Mr. Daniil's office, and that was
Hmm.
it. You gotta go back to class, put your head down. Me and my
Hmm.
brother, I mean, we called sick. My dad was there within 15, 20 minutes because he had his own
Facts.
business, right?
Right.
So I like
Facts.
that because, and then he might just like, if I felt better, he might take us to the park or something. So that
Right.
always was appealing to me, right?
the
Um,
time being spent with your family, like the time
big,
being able to kind of being with your family, all that stuff, right?
big time, man. And like, so like having that freedom was just appealing to me. I love that thing. I mean, family, friends, just being able to say no to people. My dad would curse people out, like, no, take your money back or whatever, right? And I thought that
Yeah.
was so like, I thought that was so powerful. That was such like a power. I was like, wow, right? So I say that to say when Ray and I, Raymond, was my best friend throughout school, a lot through high school. I hanged out with him a lot, and then when he went to St. John's University, he studied film and production. And so with film and production, I got a chance to tag on with him, and I started really liking being on set. I liked the creative process, sitting down even with the editors, and that was
Hmm.
appealing to me. So what we did is we said, well, we want to start doing a movie, right? But before we do a movie, we need to build like an audience or a following, right? Back then, there was no real following, but we said
Hmm.
we want to grab a following. So we're like, how do you do followings? So I was like, all right, well, beautiful girls, right? So if you have beautiful girls like working for you and on your side, things are going to happen, right? They're going to go tell people, and people are showing up. So we're like, before we do a movie, we're gonna get a following, and then some people will come and support us. And actually, Ray did a short film called Win, a 15
Hmm.
minute film, and he went door to door selling tapes, and the girls he was selling them on campus, and that was doing really well. So we decided to, working with the girls, we decided to do a calendar. At first, it was like a guy girls calendar. Um, and then we found there was this more interest for the girls side of thing. So
Hmm.
we developed a calendar, and the company we started was Royal Blue Dimes, right?
Yes, I
So
remember.
yes, so Royal Blue Dimes was one of the first model companies out. This was before like World Star or any of that other stuff, right? And then the counter for like the higher end was like Maxim and all that stuff, right? But we
Right.
were like urban, right? Um, so we appealed to Hispanics, Black, Asian. So we did that for a while, and that was when I kind of hit the nightlife scene. So between those
Yeah.
two calendars, we started doing events. So we were doing
Hmm.
events with Keisha Cole, Joe Budden,
Hmm.
Beaches Envy,
Hmm.
um, and but what I found that was happening with the web with the girls, even I mean, and Ray got really good at web design. We started learning how to do things like shoot and stuff. We learned that as
Hmm.
we went along. So Ray was more on the creative side. I was more on the manager side of things.
Right.
So Funkmaster Flex car shows, the King magazine would book us. We'd go out there with the girls. But then I started. This is when Incredible Hulk, Hypnotic was popping or whatever.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of the people don't even know what that is. Probably some of the followers or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So we did that for a little bit. And what I found out in that business was that people were requesting the girls and stuff, but I didn't really find value in myself.
Hmm.
Like, they were like, "Oh, Phil, come through. Everything is calm, but bring the girls." Like, it was always like, bring the girls, bring the girls. And
Shout out
so,
to Sudan's in the building.
Sudan, what's up, man?
Sudan's watching Marlon.
Yes, that's my
Um,
sister-in-law.
Shout out to
So,
Righting His Wrongs is in the building. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Hmm.
what's up, guys? So, doing that business for a little bit, we come to realize, and actually, now that Sedan was on, Ray was home a lot of times. So Ray just had a baby, right? So he
Hmm.
was home doing the family thing a lot, right? So it
Hmm.
left me to really be out in the streets and like kind of doing the promotion and stuff. He did the creative stuff, the web design. He made sure all the graphics was always, great. And then I would
Right.
go out to the clubs and we would do, try to get the name out there, sell calendars. Um, and funny enough, the two people that sold the most calendars in that whole time was Sedan, who is Raymond's wife, and my current wife now, who wasn't my wife at the time, Samantha. She was, an entrepreneur and stuff. So we had a little success, but we were losing so much money. I mean, we took out loans for that business. I mean, we must have spent $20,000, $30,000 on those events, right? At Amazora,
Right.
Club A. I mean, paying out all the
Oh man,
DJs.
you bringing it back. Club A, Club in
Yeah,
Missouri.
Club A, Club A.
This is my stomping grounds right there, man. Shout out to Queens. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
listen, I'm not afraid. Listen, I'm 38. I'm not afraid to say it. Like I'm doing. I feel like I'm in a great place in my life. But yeah, so I felt like unaccomplished, right? And then Ray and I really wanted to get into our passion was movie making. That was really what we wanted to do. The
Hmm.
girl, the model thing, that was kind of like sidetracking. And then
Hmm.
another sidetrack came. So that was like 2004, 2005, 2006. And in
Jeez.
2006, we launched a web design company called Royal Blue Designs. And we
Hmm.
had the opportunity to meet with Jamie Lamb, who had a show on Fox 5 at the time. He had he brought out acts like Gym Class Heroes, Paramore, the Jonas Brothers, right? And so we partnered with him, and that was kind of like toward the end of the modeling thing. I mean, we were doing really well. We were on Maxim Radio.
Hmm.
We were doing a lot. We were doing a lot of print stuff. We were doing stuff with Wyclef, and it was going
Hmm.
good. We did a couple R. Kelly music videos with them. We did Olivia.
Hey,
We
hey,
did
hey.
Whitney.
I don't want to know what y'all did with R. Kelly, man. Let's keep that moving. Let's
No.
keep that moving.
No, that was when there was tons of cameras and stuff around. That was on set. Um, but but we one of the things that I always thought was like you said, reinventing yourself, right? So at the
Right.
time, web design was becoming really a big thing, right? People wanted custom websites. Before, it was only corporate people, like big names doing it, right? Amazon and these guys were coming out with books
Hmm.
and stuff. So we
Hmm.
said, listen, entrepreneurs now are starting to get into listen, I need a website to promote myself aspect of things. And they had no clue. So Ray already had a step up on the competition because we were
Hmm.
doing websites so much for ourselves. We started doing it for other people,
Hmm.
right? And so we ended up getting a private server, and we started hosting people, and we charge a monthly fee for maintenance and creating website names and stuff like that. So that was doing really well. That was around the time that I actually first started like knowing my wife, my current wife.
Hmm.
She was an
Shout
entrepreneur
out to the
too.
wife. Shout out to Sam. Shout out
Yeah,
to the
shout
wife.
out to Sam. She had her own business stuff going, right? And she needed help with websites, and she was still doing
Hmm.
her modeling stuff. So we were able to help her and help brand her at the time, right?
Right.
To this day, I still call her Netflix TV. I just changed her name into Samantha Hammond in my phone, literally. Like this whole
That's
time I've been,
hilarious.
yeah. So we had a good run for the web design thing. What we started happening was we were doing everything for everybody. And then, some of these sites started coming out where the do-it-yourself websites started coming out. And we
Yep.
started finding Flash was starting to kind of die down, and web design, it was still there, but people wanted to start managing their own account. So they wanted us to
Hmm.
design stuff, but not manage it. And the management, the residual income that was coming from
Hmm.
that was what was keeping us going. So we had a
Hmm.
modeling site. So at the time, people were paying just to see pictures of girls in clothes. Like, it wasn't like it
Right.
was anything now.
Right.
So we had a reoccurring revenue, right? A revenue stream going where we did the work once, and that was always our thing. Do the work once and keep getting paid for it, right?
Hmm.
That's still my thing to today, right?
Right.
Because if you can do, it's like I would say the analogy. Imagine you design a bathroom one time, and then every time somebody uses that bathroom, you get paid,
You get paid.
right? So I
Be
always follow
millionaires, man.
that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I always follow that policy. So with the girl stuff, we did a site that you had to pay to keep. You had a membership, and we had that one for years. With the website, we gave them a certain amount of credit. So you called me up, you said, "Hey Phil, I need some changes on my website." All right, T, we deduct that from your. All right, you got 3 things this week,
Hmm.
and sometimes we would actually cycle them over. So if you didn't have any
Right.
changes last week, we say, "All right, we'll give you up to 5 changes this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we did that, we found that people were starting to want to do it themselves and wanted to manage themselves. So there goes that residual income. We had the initial, right? We'd still get paid to do the website, but they want to manage their own site. And Ray and I were talking, and we were like, man, we need to do what we really wanted to do, was filmmaking. And
Mm-hmm.
so in around 2008, we kind of, died down with the web design stuff. We still did it because it was keeping the lights on, right? And as
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, one thing I'd say is that, when you have a family and you're an entrepreneur, it's very hard, man. Like it is, when you're counting on yourself or you're just thinking about yourself, you can do anything, man. You could live off of chips, crown fried,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But when you have a wife and a child, which Ray had years before me, it was just me. We had to sacrifice a lot. So when we started our first film, we were like, we don't know anything about filmmaking, right? In terms of producing a film, we know Ray knows how to shoot and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I know how to like cast because I've cast for so long with the modeling thing. I got good at
Mm-hmm.
casting.
Mm-hmm.
So man, we started casting. Casting for our film in 2008. Nick,
Mm-hmm.
that was the one that Nick started, right? Travail.
Yeah, Terrell.
And
Mm-hmm.
yes, and we crafted that title, and Travail was very controversial. So we said, listen, if we're going to do something, we need to come out with something that grabs people's attention. So Travail was a very controversial film,
It's
but what
relevant today, by the way.
it would be
It's
very
relevant
relevant.
today. Yeah, I should have
I know,
relaunched that. Yeah, I
I
should have
know. You
relaunched that
told.
this year. I
I
told you
know
that.
you
Like
told me
that's
about that, and we definitely thought about that too.
man, man.
It's it's so funny. My wife told me the other day, like, babe, do you ever see yourself doing movies again? And I was like, I think so. I said, I don't know, but at the time, before, oh man, movie making was the thing, right? But what I learned from making that first film, we raised a little capital. We had another partner on that, Sam Price. Shout out to Sam Price. And Sam went to St. John's with Ray. So the three of us really got into his old school Cadillac
Mm-hmm.
and started riding around making a movie. One of our friends had like a cookie company, and then she had
Mm-hmm.
all of these like little drink sponsors. So she gave
Yeah.
us a ton of cookies and drinks, and we piled that in the back of Sam's Cadillac. And because it was cold during when we were shooting, it was like a little refrigerator for us. So that was our meals. We would just be eating cookies and drinks all day on set, busting out this film, right? And some of the people that I know to today, one of my best friends, Jules and Tiffany, and a lot of the girls in cast that I work with on that said I'm still good friends with today. But what Travail taught us was that you have to really treat filmmaking like a business, right? You have to set it up with a separate name. And so that part of the reinventing was new to us because we said, all right, filmmaking is a whole nother deal. It's not like, hey, you're going to pay me to make this website. It's
Right.
like we had to raise money, and most of the people that were part of that film, we did what's called deferred pay. Meaning, if the film gets picked up, they would get a percent or a payment
Right.
off of the
Mm-hmm.
total film that we sell,
Right.
right? And then we did what was called bartering contracts with all the places we shot. So we said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, if I was shooting at, say, a 7-Eleven, I'd be like, hey, man, listen, we'll make some flyers for your next Slurpee day if you
Mm-hmm.
give us the space for like 5 minutes just to shoot this quick scene, right? So
Right.
that was my go-to. I'd go in and kind of negotiate with them and barter
Yeah.
because we had no funds. Moving ahead to our second film, Redhead Randy. Redhead Randy, we raised money, right? So we did what was called crowdfunding, right? And we did artist participation. So essentially, all of the families that were helping us to fund this, we brought their children into the movies, and these kids were bullied. right? So they,
I remember that. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, they didn't have a platform, you know. So it was a very special film for us because we learned about bullycide and we didn't know what that
Hmm.
was. And so all of these kids that never had an opportunity to shine, we gave them all the opportunity to shine. And the bullies in the movie and the bullies that were and the people that were being bullied were both bullied, right?
Wow. Hmm.
So we gave them a platform to act and stuff, and a lot of them still do it to today.
That's great.
We, yeah, man, we did a red carpet event for them. We booked out
Hmm.
AMC Theater by
I
Webster
remember. I was
Hall.
there. Hmm.
Yes, I know. You've been there through all of it, T. Um, I learned more about that. So we were able to raise a budget for that, and then we had a couple of executive producers. So we raised for that project. We raised about 30,000 for that project, and that really went into equipment. It went into food on the set. It went into some wardrobe, and
Yes.
again, no money left for us. Right? You can't really live
Right.
off of that. We're just using that money to spend on making the film. And so that's what happened with that. And then we started getting into, around the time that we were doing the website stuff with Jamie Lamb, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. He taught me about media buying. So my dad had a client, Jaya, right? And he did their
Oh,
Chinese
yeah.
restaurant, right? And I've
Yeah.
known the Polk family for years. So I approached Mr. Polk and said, hey, let's do a TV commercial for you. You know, we'll shoot it and we'll put it on cable TV for you, right? And, he was a little hesitant, but he says, all right, let's do it, right? And Mr. Polk is, he had the capital at the time. So Jamie kind
Hmm.
of put me on to that. And then I learned about media buying and how to buy television time and how that whole thing worked and creatives and stuff and formatting stuff for TV. And then I grew to love that a lot. So after Red Hit Randy, we started thinking about another film called Play to Win, which was around the time Michelle Obama was in office with her Let's Move campaign. So we were going to do that to combat childhood obesity, like what we did to combat bullying, right?
Right.
But it didn't get off the ground. We met with the kids. We didn't raise the money that we wanted to. We were able to get the equipment and secure some stuff, but it just didn't work. So we did a couple fun days with the kids, and we kind of shelved the project, honestly.
Hmm.
And around that time, so I really, at that time, so here we were, doing what we really wanted to do, right? Film production. And
Hmm.
then we were like, man, it's not like how we get paid with websites or the
Hmm.
modeling. It's not like an immediate payday. And so what we ended up doing is we started doing some advertising. Once we did the Jaya commercial, to this day, it's probably one of the most successful restaurant campaigns, local restaurant campaigns in New York City, right? I've been running them
Wow.
since 2013
Wow.
on
Hmm.
TV, right? And so the only time that we paused was because of this pandemic and because Cuomo said, restaurants are closed. But each transition, so between the modeling, the web design, the first
Hmm.
film, the second film, and then getting into commercials and production, I found man, I get paid right away to do commercials, but I still get to film and we still get to be part of that film production kind of
Right.
situation.
Hmm.
So then I was like, oh, okay, I like this, And so Ray at the time wanted to venture off doing the same similar thing, but more so branding consulting, right? So
Right.
speaking to people about building their brand from the ground up and
Right.
consulting on that end. I felt like a little for me, I felt like I wanted to keep exploring the media buying because again, for me, it's like do it once and keep getting paid, right?
Right.
Will
Right.
Smith is still getting paid off of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, right?
Crazy.
So, and
Hmm.
that's where a lot of times people pay their bills off of, those residual checks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I like the art of negotiating, and I like the sort of production. So I said, I'm going to marry the media buying, um, negotiating, consulting side with the production side and create this company. And so that's how PH Consulting and Media was formed.
Mm.
Um, and at the time when I did that company, when I started, it was because my dad wanted me to, I was still doing work with my father, and he needed a way to pay me that wasn't
Mm.
through my name, right? And he says you need
Right.
to set up a DBA, and a DBA
Mm-hmm.
essentially is, it's not a company, but it's you have enough information to set up a separate bank account in that company
Right.
name, and then you
Right.
can kind of separate, even though it's all filed at the end, you can kind
Mm-hmm.
of separate your business from your personal in a way.
Right.
So, and then I started doing 1099s and stuff with him do that. So he actually
Right.
helped me form that company, the name and everything. And that was just a DBA. We went down to the street, did a couple paperwork. I think he actually paid the check for me. I didn't have any money, so I think he even paid for me to set up that company.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And so Phil, so
yeah,
what people don't know about DBAs is that if you want to have a business, you can start with a DBA, right? Some people feel like they don't have the money to
yeah,
start a business, but if you have a
yeah.
vision, you can literally start a DBA for like $50. It's just
Hmm.
filing fees with the court, you know.
Yeah,
And then after that, if you'd like, then you can move forward, after a while of you generating some income to starting your LLC or C corp or S corp or
right.
whatever it is that you want to start. But a lot of people don't really. They think that it takes this grand amount of money to start. But
Yeah.
truthfully, especially nowadays, like you really don't have to do that. You can start with a DBA and then move forward. So I just wanted to just kind of just put that in there. But go
No,
ahead.
that's completely true. And the first company we started, that was a corporation, right? So
Right.
Ray and I took on two roles. In a corporation, you have the president, the vice president, the secretary, and treasurer, but you could take on two
Hmm.
roles. So I was the vice president and treasurer, and Ray was the president and secretary, right? On paper,
Right.
right?
On paper. Right.
But the what I understand, but the corporation, it's, you can do a lot of tax incentives and stuff like that, but there's a lot of work. Once you set up a corporation, you now have to be responsible for certain tax things, quarterly,
Yes. Yes.
filing and stuff. Um, so that was something that we learned. We just said, oh, we need a corporation. That's what everybody else has. Not going into
Right.
that, we paid lawyers fees. We had, we had the seal. We had all the books. We had stock, which we knew nothing about,
Hmm.
right? Um, so yes, so that was one of the things that I learned. And actually, when I moved into my first office in Rosedale in Cross Island, I knew that at some point I would have to set up an LLC because I was
Hmm.
still a DBA at the time.
Yeah.
And the DBA does not protect you from liabilities.
Nope.
So yes, the DBA gives you the mindset and starts you off with that business thing.
Right. It's a good starter. Right.
Yes, just go. Get your DBA, start going. It just gets you in that mindset flow. You're not thinking about that. However, once you start making money and once you start getting
Yes.
those contracts, those people now, you're contracted to that business. So if something happens during your contract, they can go after all your personal stuff, right? And at
Right.
the time, I was with my parents. So I'm like, they're going to go probably after my parents stuff because I don't got anything. So
Yeah.
so I started the LLC, and then I started really focusing on marketing, video
Hmm.
production and marketing and media buying. And that's where I'm at today. Um, the one thing that's changed since that first office in here is now we have a full studio. So
Right.
I'm also part of Garden City, New York Media, right? So what I did with that, again, with the reinventing myself, I realized with PH Consulting and Media, I can go after contracts that were maybe anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000, right?
Hmm.
With Garden City, New York Media, I could go after contracts that were like 15,000 to 60,000 and up.
Right.
Because collectively as a group, we have a bigger team. We have larger liability insurance. We have a full studio here, right? And we're in a really affluent area, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
what we charge for things, just like when you go to a restaurant in Manhasset versus a restaurant, let's say on Jamaica, the food could still be the same. It could be just as good, but one, you're paying this much and you're paying that much for the other one, right?
Location, location, location.
Locate, and that's another thing I'll talk to you about in a little bit later, but how important location and zip code is to your business, right? But yeah, that's how I ended up here. You know, those transitions that I kept reinventing myself based on really two things, right? One, I always had the consistency of trying to figure out something I can do one time and then continue to get paid for it. And
Right.
two, listening to my clients and what their needs were, right?
Mm.
So when it came to, I mean, even, and our clients were literally even viewers. So even with the modeling thing, at the time, that was something that people wanted, right? It was big and people was really requesting it, you know? And I remember we met with Q from WorldStar before he died. And we talked about a lot of like the different kinds of things that were going on and ideas that we could do with like modeling and stuff. But he wanted to take it to a different level, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
never wanted to, I was always in this kind of phase where it's like, kind of like, I don't know. I felt like I was just controlling the girls and like, you know, did they really want to do this? And like, so, but listening to those people, I listened and we at each step, we knew that we needed to keep evolving, right? So as websites evolved, we evolved with the websites, you know. As what people wanted on content and social, we started doing. A lot of people, for instance, didn't know that they could get on television for the rates that I was getting them on TV. They thought TV was
Right.
like you have to have $50,000 just to start, right? And like, wait, I could do it
Right.
for $5,000. I could do it $2,500. I didn't know I could get on TV on these networks for that much. So there was an education. So I was being paid to educate people too.
Wow.
So that's kind of like how I ended up here, you know, and that's how
Got
I'm
it.
at the studio now. That's
No,
all. Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful studio.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, bro.
so, let's transition into kind of building a team. So like, what is the importance of building a really solid team around you? You know, at first you had Ray,
Yeah.
um, and then now transitioning into this business. You know, you still have, Brian and Matt, things like
Yes.
that. So,
Yeah.
what's the importance of building a good team? Okay. Shout out to Sam. Sam's Vision.
Oh, what's up,
Photography is in the
Sam?
building. Yeah, yeah,
Glad you're on with us, brother.
yeah.
I would say, okay, there's three things that I learned. Well, two that I know off the top, right? What I learned from learning and being experienced to just starting out. One, I thought I should have every title in the book, right? So on my
Yeah.
business cards, I had like 80 titles, right? I was
Hmm.
this, I was CEO, I was all of this stuff, right? None of that stuff matters, right? In fact, most CEOs and stuff that I know, the millionaires and people I know, don't have a business card or will hang out in the back of a room, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but so I learned about, figuring out, condensing what you really want to do and really kind of focusing on that specific thing. Because whenever you
Hmm.
think about anybody, like Michael Jordan, Barack Obama, Tom Cruise, you know them for something, even though they're making so much more money off other things. Like Ryan Reynolds, Shaq,
Hmm.
they're making more money in their other business. Rihanna,
Of
right?
course.
But you know
Hmm.
Rihanna's a singer, right?
Yeah.
But Rihanna's chilling right now. She's not even trying to put out
Hmm.
an album, right?
Right.
So really figuring out what you really want to do and not being so obsessed with titles, right?
Hmm.
Just working and building the craft. You know what they say, like 10,000 hours. Like if you can do something for 10,000 hours, you can be a master of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was one. And the second thing I learned was you have to give money away. If somebody's giving you $5,000, don't
Uh-huh.
say, man, I want to figure out how to keep $5,000. You budget yourself and say, okay, $5,000, I'm going to pay myself maybe $900 out of that. Then I'm going to pay my director this much. And in a lot of cases, my director, my DP, make more than me on the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we would do is I set aside some for the company, so what we call the house, right? So
Yep.
PH Consulting and Media makes a
Mm-hmm.
percent of the total sale. The
Right.
producer, which is myself, will take a percent. Matt will take a percent as a director. Pete will take a percent as a director of photography, right? And then Matt may take it, or Peter may take it, or I might have another person doing the editing. Then we have our cast, which is like our actors that
Yep.
get paid. And then we have our production assistants. These are the people that pick up lights, move cords around. They are so important to the set, right? And then if you have it, if you have it in budget, maybe having like a production assistant. I have a fantastic
Mm-hmm.
production assistant now,
Mm-hmm.
who manages my food budget, so we don't go over. If somebody's running late, they're communicating with them with directions and stuff. So imagine
Mm-hmm.
you have this money, you have $5,000, but you have to do all of those roles. You're running around with cords,
No.
you're ordering Panera, you're trying to be behind the set, making sure your client's work is good, you're writing, right? And by the end of the day, you're exhausted, right? And then
Yeah.
the project is sort of like lacking, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
the job that you were meant to do, you can't even do 100%, right?
Right.
So a team is so vital to whatever you're doing, especially in my field. We can't do. We have a technician here, a stage technician, Pete, who's amazing. He handles all of like our technical stuff here. We have
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like 10 to 15 monitors in here that are all synced up. He controls all of that. John, our studio manager, John
Mm-hmm.
manages and meets with all the clients. He sets it up. We have
Mm-hmm.
a makeup artist that's on call all the time, right?
Yep.
So a team is so important, and one of my favorite things to do is pay people. Like I love when payroll when it comes in and I can start transferring money out into people's account. And thank you so much for being a part of this production. You guys did a great job. Always positive reinforcements. I feel like that's very big for a leader.
Right.
Build somebody's strengths, and help educate them, help them with their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from them every day. But yeah, having a team is so important, man. And what I'll say to anybody, if you're trying to figure out how to hold on to the money, or how to hold on to as much money that came from that project as possible, you're doing
Mm-hmm.
yourself an injustice, because the time that you're paying that team out, you could be also simultaneously going out and getting other business. And so
Mm-hmm.
you can simultaneously work on other projects versus trying to eat all that project. And when that money's gone, you have nothing next on the table, right? So
Gotcha.
that kind of freed me up to think about new clients and how we engage with them
Mm-hmm.
while the production's going on. We just shot a TV commercial 2 weeks ago. I created the creative deck, the storyboard, the script. Peter and Matt, we had our meetings. Alex knew what she had to do. Everybody on set, the makeup artist, everybody knew what they had to do. I can focus on just being there with my clients and making sure
Mm-hmm.
that they liked how everything was going and how everything was coming out. And I began writing about a year ago too. So I'm also not only just producing, but I'm also writing now. So I write 90% of the scripts and stuff that we do here. So
Mm-hmm.
it allowed me to write and tweak and have that time. So teamwork and having a team is super important.
Dope. So we got about 15 minutes left, so I kind of want to get to a couple more things. So transitioning into like business and marriage, right? So your lovely wife, shout out to Samantha again.
Yeah, shout out to
She's a
you.
serial, she's a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't, as long as I've known her, I don't know if she's ever, or remember her having a real 9 to 5, right? Um,
No,
but
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So, um, I know you guys have two separate businesses. She has a traveling service, a
Yeah.
company, and everybody go check that out. And so, you know, it was very interesting to see you two, like when you two got together, um, you guys work together,
Yes.
right? But you guys have different businesses.
Yes.
So I just kind of just want to just hear a little bit about your experience working with your wife, as two entrepreneurs that have two separate businesses, but yet
Yeah.
you guys work so well together in business. So I just kind of
Yeah.
wanted you to speak to it a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, um, what I would say for entrepreneurs couples is, um, whatever you bring to the table, right? Um,
Hmm.
you know, be that for that person, right? So for me, it's marketing and video production, right? So that's my lane in her business, right? So
Right.
right now we're crafting out next year partnerships with like Sandals and
Hmm.
American Express and stuff like that, right? But that's my role. So when people have media inquiries, that's my role in her business. I don't get involved with how she treats her agents. I might give her
Wow.
advice here and there. She sees all of my projects. So every time I shoot a commercial, anything, by the time I finish editing, she's the first person to see it. Babe, what do you think about this? She'll give me some feedback or whatever. I take it into consideration, um, and, uh, and I'll make a change, or I may not make a change, right?
Right.
And so it's important that you don't push yourself into that person's business. You kind
Hmm.
of, keep your lane, right? And if they ask for advice, you kind of give it to them. Now, on
Hmm.
the other side, Samantha and I are creating a company together, which is a child of her travel business and my production business. And we're going to offer marketing for resorts and stuff like that, which is we're filming at the resorts and she's coming back and pushing it out to her agents, and we're doing media spend on marketing that, right? So that's called Hammond Vacations.
Oh wow, this is an exclusive. I
Yeah, it
didn't
is.
even know
Yeah,
this. This is an
yes, yes.
exclusive. All right, yeah. So then y'all heard it here first. I appreciate the exclusive, brother. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is called Hammond Vacations.
yeah. So the concept is there, and we already have some. We're going to manage some rental properties for people vacationing, like say to Disney and stuff. We already have a couple clients that we've been kind of working with, but we put it on hold because of the COVID and the pandemic and stuff like that. And but we know that there's a business that we're going to start. One of her friends, Crystal, who I did work for a period of time, right, as a nine
Hmm.
to five. So you guys know, last year I did have a 9 to 5 while I still had my business, right?
Hmm.
And I didn't go seeking that 9 to 5. She approached me. I was her client, but I mean, she was my client. But what happened was she got funding, and they needed employees, not
Hmm.
consultants, right? So,
Right.
but one thing in her business that I realized, her husband manages the
Hmm.
back fulfillment. She handles the front, right, with all the orders and the creative stuff, and they don't go over each other. So the final word in the back is jeans, right? Her word is the front, right? So it's good. I think in relationships, whether you're just not in a business, just in relationships itself, or you're in a business of having a relationship and a business, you want to create rules and lanes for yourselves. Okay,
Hmm.
this is what I'm going to do in the business. This is what you're going to do in the business. You're the final word on this. You're the final word on that. I think setting that up from the beginning and having an understanding. All right, babe, I'm going to wash the dishes. I'm going to take out trash. So if the trash is not taken out, that's my responsibility or whatever, right? Her responsibility might be something else, right? So I think those kind of things are important, right?
Hmm.
And establishing that from the beginning. And I think if you can establish that, you can have a fantastic work relationship as long as you guys understand that, you know, you're not crossing paths and you're managing that department, you know, I think that will work.
Dope. Well, one, congratulations on the new business venture that you're going into. I assume
Oh, thank you, man.
2021, I assume
Yeah,
will be probably,
2021.
when you'll be. Oh, so congratulations in advance. So shifting to something else. So, this whole year has been pretty tough, I think, for a lot of people. A lot of
Mhm.
people have, lost their jobs. Some people have lost their businesses. Um, and between COVID, the civil unrest that's going on in our
Yeah.
country, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people are suffering in silence. People have lost loved ones, to COVID.
Yeah.
And these are just real things. So like every day, like we see things every day, whether it be on social media, television, you
Hmm.
know, that can affect the way we feel on an everyday basis, right?
Hmm.
That's a fact. So we go through all of our everyday trials and tribulations, and then we have a lot of things that we see every day.
Right.
George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery,
Right.
things like that. That we realize that we grieve those things too. You
Right.
know, um, so how have you been able to practice self care? Within yourself and to kind of stay positive? And do you give yourself room to kind of breathe and grieve and kind of just go forward, in life? Like, how do you manage your day to day struggles?
Um, for me, I definitely stayed productive. Even when the
Hmm.
pandemic was happening and I couldn't go into the studio or the office, I was taking Spanish. I'm on 187 days of Spanish now. I was taking a common
Oh.
law class with Harvard.
Hmm.
I became a plant guy. I started buying plants and growing plants. Um, and I realized that even with, and I say this to guys too, if you're if you want to really help yourself to,
Hmm.
you like a girl and you want to figure out how to like date her or how to like woo her, the one thing I would say is be busy, right? Stay busy, stay productive, right? And I don't mean artificially busy. I mean just productive, right? Doing things every day where you wake up with a purpose and you have an idea of what you're going to do or what you want to accomplish, right? Helps a lot with your mental because people that are lost generally means that they don't have a direction on what they want to do, right? It
Hmm.
sounds it's really as simple as it sounds. Um, but those things doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a business. It can
Right.
be
No.
a creative opportunity. It could be reading a
Hmm.
book. It could be writing. It could be writing. It could be doing.
Hmm.
We were doing Zoom calls for a little bit. Those are
Yeah.
incredible. Seeing your friends on
Hmm.
Zoom and like talking to somebody. I have
Hmm.
god kids talking to kids on the phone.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, talking to kids always puts me at ease. They're so like they don't know anything. A lot of the craziness going on. They don't know about bills. They
They're
just want to
so
talk to you about
they're
the
so pure.
yeah, they're talking to you about Batman and everything like that. And honestly, to this day, I still watch cartoons. Sam makes fun of me. I still watch cartoons because it helps me in my creativity. It helps me keep an open mind. Children have big open minds. I think as adults, we start to close mind ourselves, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You tell a child they can fly, they're trying to jump off a building. You tell adult
Yeah.
they can fly, they're like, hell no, right? Like I
Yeah.
can fly. What to get out of here, right? It's
Right.
because we lose that open mindedness, right? And I think that's what's always saved me, having an open mind, allowing my friends to be who they are, allowing situations to just happen, right? You build up
Hmm.
this anxiety up until something's happening. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Sometimes letting go. I use an app called Calm.
Hmm.
It's really
Hmm.
good. I listen to the bedtime story sometimes. I do like 15-minute meditation sometimes before I'm about to go into a meeting. I like to listen to music, some Kenny
Hmm.
G. Um,
Ah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. So those type of things definitely helped me through the pandemic. And what I learned is my wife and I are meant to be together because I mean, no fighting.
Shout
I
out
mean,
to Matt. What's
yeah.
up, Matt? What's up,
Oh,
brother?
what's going on, Matt? What's going on, Matt? Um, And so I learned a lot from that, right? I learned a lot from being inside and knowing the art of spending time with my family. I got so much closer with my brothers and my sisters and my mom, like, and so that I really enjoyed having that time with them. And then when it
Hmm.
was back to going to work, I had this renewed purpose right now, right? Like,
Right.
there's new ideas coming out and stuff like that. So that really helped me, you know,
Dope.
really helped me. So that's how I kind of kept that self-care going.
Oh, perfect, man. So I guess my last question would be, let's just say, somebody wants to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to put an age on it because I don't really think it matters. Um,
Right.
but they come to you and say, Phil, I got this idea. I think it's great. Of course, but how do I get started? What do I do? Like I'm afraid to get started. Let's just say I'm afraid to get out there and do it, and I don't really know how to get started.
Yeah.
Like what would you tell somebody like that?
Um, I would say to if you have a business idea, right? And you know the industry, I would try to find somebody, go through your phone and find somebody that is somewhere in that industry. It doesn't have to be a high up position. Say, for instance, you want to get into filmmaking and you know somebody that's a production assistant, right? Hey, you think you can get me an internship or something in that field, right? Because I think the more you educate yourself on that industry, the better equipped
Hmm.
you are to start your own business in it, right? And that could be anything.
Gotcha.
Spend a lot of hours cooking, right? If you want to be a chef, you want to open a cooking thing, if you learn how to cook, right? For me, I learned every aspect of my business. I learned how to film. I didn't learn how to edit, but I learned how to shoot with a camera, basic stuff. I understand basic
Hmm.
lighting. So if Matt or Peter or someone's talking to me on set, I understand what they're talking about. Even though I'm not the one setting it up, I understand what they're doing, their process. So
Hmm.
kind of figuring out all the pieces to that business, all the roles you're going to have to do, and kind of just doing a little research in each role, I think is going to go a long way.
Hmm.
Um, once you have gotten experience, offer a service to somebody at a really reasonable rate.
Right.
Listen, can I do this for you? Sometimes I used to do things for free.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll be like, hey, I'll do it for a couple $100. No problem. As you start doing it, right, you're going to start getting better. And anything that you guys do, whether it's for $200, whether it's for free, whether it's for $5,000, put it in paper, write it down, like let them sign it. Say, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is what you're getting in return. This is what I'm going to return. Once you have that on paper, and you guys sign and agree on those terms, it becomes a contract, right? So now that's something that you can hold up. If any issues ever happen, you can go back and refer that contract to a legal document. It could be on a napkin. I would say everyone has
Yeah.
access to a computer now, Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Just type it up. Um, and then the third thing I'd say is once you have spent time learning about what you're trying to do, you spent time interning or doing something with somebody in that experience. You spent time learning about each aspect of that business. And then you've offered that service as a trial run to somebody, right?
Hmm.
When it comes time to setting up your business, right? Don't waste too much time not setting your business up correctly. And
Right.
I say that to say is because, and I'm going to give you a story about the pandemic now.
Wait, Phil, hold on one second. Listen,
Yeah.
we got about 60 seconds.
Okay.
We got about 6 seconds. Go ahead.
This is my last thing to everybody, right? When you're setting up a business, make sure that you set it up correctly. It can be an LLC, it can be a simple business. But once you registered your business, whether you're making money or not, your business is growing, even if you're not funding that business, right? So now you have
Gotcha.
a 2-year-old business that has no money in it, right? I say that to say, when the pandemic happened, because my business has a certain amount of years under its belt, and because of where I am, I was able to secure 6 figures worth of funding for the business, right?
Gotcha.
So
Hmm.
always set your business up once you've established some type of experience with it.
Got you. Listen, Phil, it's been amazing. We got 10 seconds. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes,
Thank
brother.
you for doing this over me. That's a wrap for season one of Conversations of the Heart.
Yes,
Stay tuned
sir.
for
Congrats.
season two.
Season
Yo,
2.
thank you,
Congrats,
man.
man. Thank you, everybody, for
Salute.
tuning in.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. Listen, at the end of the day, Phil, tell
Yes.
people, just give people real quick, just your at,
Oh, at
like
I
where they
am
can
Big
find you.
Phil. Yeah, at I am Big Phil. As
Got you.
am Big Phill.
All right, yo, man, that's super dope, man. And I know how you started like the websites that you used to build. I know how you learned it. It was coding. It was coding our first Black Planet page. So
Yes.
I remember
Yes,
them days,
yes.
bro.
Oh my God, you brought it back, bro.
Yo, my brother. Yo, listen, thank you, bro.
Yes.
And hopefully, man, we can do a part two. Next time we'll be in that studio
Yes, man. I'll
and we'll
bring my
back the
team on
team, bro.
board, man.
And we'll bring the team, man.
All
All right,
right, love
brother.
you, bro.
Yeah, I love you too, bro. Peace.
Peace.